Hello everyone, what's going on, and welcome back to another edition of Flick News, the show here on Flick Direct, where I give you guys the latest that happened in entertainment news throughout the week, and then I give you all my personal take on the matter at hand. I'm your host, Austin Putnam, and this week, guys, was actually a pretty slow week in terms of movie news and TV news. However, this week, I do have a couple of big news stories that happened this week, too bad unfortunately, but one very good news for the up-and-coming DCEU. But starting off with DC, let's start off this week's news show by talking about the DCEU, but most specifically, The Flash's box office. Now, in case if you guys have not seen The Flash, go check it out, guys. I think it's a very good, in fact, I think it's a great DCEU film. One of the best of all time, though. I personally don't think so, but I do think that The Flash is a very, very good, if not a great DC film. I don't know how much this film was tracking to do before all the screenings were announced, because if you guys remember, The Flash had its first ever world premiere screening at CinemaCon back in April. Then it had a couple of screenings for fans in the last week or 2 months, really, actually, not even in the last month. I think the film was originally tracking to do around 780 million, which isn't bad considering the film has a 200 million budget, which is absolutely massive. I'm assuming due to all the CG, even though the CG could have definitely been worked on a lot more, but that's just past the point. Guess what, guys? The Flash opened much, and I mean much lower than anticipated, going down to, I believe, between 50 to 60 million. Now, that 10 million difference may not seem a lot to a lot of people out there, but believe me, guys, when I say this, a 10 million difference is pretty big, especially for a film that size and scale. I personally think this is a darn shame because I really enjoyed The Flash, but it looks like that word of mouth got less and less good after James Gunn's massive, fantastic hype, along with David Zaslav, who said it's one of the great superhero films of all time. Well, apparently, it doesn't seem to be the case, according to a lot of film goers out there. Now, there are some out there that really do think it's one of the greatest films of all time, at least the superhero genre. I personally don't find that way, but I do think the film deserves a lot more box office stuff. It's just a darn shame, because I do think the film is a great film, and I cannot wait to see what they do with the DCU going forward. Let's go on talking about the DCU, in particular, The Brave and the Bold, which is the DCU's introduction of the Batman, the Bat family. Well, not Matt Reeves the Batman, but you guys get what I mean. The Batman, DCU's Batman, the Bat family. There are rumors going on for quite some time that a certain filmmaker was gonna be helming this movie. And guys, it turns out that it looks like the director of The Flash, Andy Muschietti, is going to apparently direct this movie, but he wants to wait until he sees a complete script after the Writers Guild of America strike ends, which is, to be fair, I completely get him, because here's the thing. Imagine going on to a project where there is no script and all that you know about the project is what that film is focusing on. Now, while you might be excited for that film once you've signed on, but I guarantee if you don't like the script, you might want to back away, and I'm hoping that this happened to Andy Muschietti, because personally, I thought that Andy Muschietti did with Batman, with both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton's Batman and The Flash, I thought was really, really good. In fact, it was terrific. Knowing how good Andy Muschietti did with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck and The Flash, I can't wait to see what he's going to do with the DCU's Batman, with DCEU, the DCU's Batman. It sounds like I'm saying DCEU, even though I know I'm saying DCU. Anyways, knowing that Andy Muschietti did such a great job with Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton with two Batmans in the same film, I'm excited to see what he's going to do with the DCU's Batman in Brave and the Bold. When I saw this particular headline, it got me really bummed, because I've been looking forward to this film ever since it was announced back in 2019's Comic-Con, during Marvel's panel. You guys know what that is. What was the last movie announced from the MCU's Comic-Con panel back in 2019? Blade. Now, this is a movie that Blade was rumored for quite some time, if I remember correctly, and it was announced at Comic-Con. It was supposed to be filming literally this year, and then pushed back again, pushed back into November, pushed back into 2024. Well, guys, it looks like that MCU's Blade will be coming out officially in 2025. And I guarantee you guys, it's because they want to wait for rewrites because of the WGA strike. I mean, it makes the most sense because it's currently going on right now, knowing that Nick Palazzo, who apparently they brought on to rewrite the script for this movie, because this is probably like the 4th or 5th writer at this point, but nonetheless, I'm hoping the WGA strike ends very, very soon, because I do want to see what Nick Palazzo, the creator of True Detective, is going to do with a script for Blade with Mahershala Ali. This is a story that really bums me out, because I'm looking forward to the MCU's Blade, but still it bums me out, and I'm hoping to God this WGA strike ends soon, so that we get a good script, that we get Blade sooner rather than later. That's gonna wrap it up for this week's show. Please comment on us about starting off. How do you all feel about The Flash's very lackluster opening this past week at the box office? Do you think it should have done better, or do you think that the opening is well warranted? Also, what do you guys think about Andy Muschietti coming on to direct Batman, the Brave and the Bold? Do you think he's the right choice, or do you think that somebody else should handle it? And also, how do you guys feel about Blade being delayed until 2025? Do you think a Blade movie should be happening, or do you think, you know what, also with Leslie Snipes, but still nonetheless, guys, let us know below. I hope you all enjoyed this week's show. If so, please hit that like button, also share, and don't forget the subscribe button and the notification bell for our latest new show goes live. If you guys want to see any more previous news shows, please click it right there or right there. And then, of course, until our next week's new show goes live next week, we'll see you all next week. Have a wonderful week, guys. Hit like, smash subscribe, and get notified for when our reviews, interviews, and news go live.